All right, so Upstart's Q3 2025 results are out, and wow, CEO Dave Girouard didn't hold back. He painted this really bold picture for the future of credit. So what we've done here is pulled out all the key strategic points from his remarks just to give you the inside scoop on where Upstart is really heading. Let's get right into it. Okay, so here's the plan. First, we're going to look at the big, audacious AI vision they have. Then, we'll dive into the pretty amazing Q3 growth numbers. After that, we'll tackle this little, let's call it a speed bump that came up and explain what that's all about. We'll also check out their new products and funding situation and wrap it all up with what they think the future of credit is going to look like. So, right from the top, the CEO made it super clear. This isn't just about one good quarter. Nope, he framed this whole thing around a massive, industry-shaking opportunity. And this quote, this really says it all, doesn't it? He's not talking about making things a little bit better. We're talking about leading a $1 trillion industry. $1 trillion. He calls it an exciting and inevitable direction. And honestly, that belief, it's the engine behind everything else we're going to talk about.
All right, so they've got this huge ambition, right? But did the numbers back it up? Let's take a look at Q3. And spoiler alert, the results were pretty darn strong.
First off, get this. Revenue jumped a massive 71% compared to last year. I mean, that is some serious momentum right there. And what's driving that revenue? Well, an even bigger leap in transaction volume. We're talking an 80% increase from last year. That's just a staggering number. It means way more people are jumping on the platform. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just about getting bigger. It's about profitable growth. Their net income, it grew by 6 times, 6x, compared to just the last quarter. That tells you they're not just growing, they're scaling smart.
And behind all these big numbers, there's a simple fact. Demand is just surging. Over 2 million people, 2 million, applied for loans on their platform in Q3. That's the highest it's been in over 3 years. So this isn't just a spreadsheet story, It's about real people choosing to use their service.
Okay, so things are looking great, right? Growth, demand, profit. But there was this one little thing, one number that was a bit lower than people thought it would be. And honestly, the reason for it is probably the most fascinating part of this whole story. So you've got to ask, right? If you've got 2 million people knocking on your door, why wasn't the transaction volume even higher? Why didn't it smash expectations? Well, the answer really gets to the core of what Upstart AI is all about. So here's what actually happened. The conversion rate, the percentage of people who apply and actually get a loan, it dropped. It went from about 24% in the second quarter down to just over 20% in the third. So, what gives? And this is the key. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a bug in the system. It was a feature. The AI model was looking at the bigger economic picture. It saw some signals that things might be getting a little riskier out there, and it deliberately, on its own, tightened the approval standards. It was protecting the lenders. Pretty smart, huh? And the CEO was totally upfront about this. He basically said, the system is doing exactly what we built it to do. This just perfectly shows their whole philosophy. Credit quality comes first. They would much rather miss a transaction target than let a risky loan through the door. And that right there is how you build rock-solid trust with the people who provide the money. So, okay, this super disciplined approach is great for safety. But what about growth? Well, the story here isn't just about personal loans anymore. Not by a long shot. They're branching out, and they've definitely got the cash to make it happen. Just take a look at this. Yeah, the core products are still the big kahuna, but their new stuff, we're talking auto loans, home loans, small dollar loans, they now make up 12% of the whole business. That is a serious chunk of the pie, and believe me, it is growing like a weed. And when I say growing fast, I'm not kidding. We're talking explosive. The volume for these new products is up around 300%. 300% year over year. This is a huge flashing sign pointing to where their future growth is going to come from. Now, of course, you can't have loans without the money to fund them, right? You need capital. And on that front, the CEO says they're in an exceptionally strong position. They're adding new banks, all of their private credit partners are sticking around, and get this, they actually have more funding than they even need right now. That's a good problem to have. All right, so let's tie this all together. You've got this super precise AI, you've got explosive growth in new areas, and you've got a ton of funding. What does that all add up to?
Well, this is where the vision gets really, really big. It all comes down to the data. Their AI isn't just some theory cooked up in a lab. It's been trained on more than 98 million. That's million real-life repayment events. Think about that. Every single time someone makes a payment or misses one, the model learns something and gets a little bit smarter.
And this, my friends, is their secret weapon. See, unlike a lot of other companies, they don't buy their data. They generate it themselves from their own platform. This creates this incredible feedback loop where the system is constantly teaching itself, getting better and more accurate with every single loan. It's a huge, huge competitive advantage.
So what's the end game here? What's the ultimate goal? They call it always-on credit. And just try to picture this for a second. A world where you're basically pre-approved constantly and accurately. You don't fill out long applications anymore. You just access credit instantly, 24/7, at the best rate you qualify for, all from your phone. Wild, right?
So, wrapping up his remarks, the CEO left everyone with a really powerful message. It was a huge vote of confidence, basically saying, look, markets will go up and down, but our long-term plan is solid, and for those who stick with us, they'll be champions. Pretty bold.
And that kind of leaves us with this big final question to think about. Upstart is making a huge bet that credit is going to change from this slow, painful application process to something more like a utility, something that's just there when you need it. So the question really isn't if this will happen, but when. And what's it going to look like for all of us when it does?